Mr. Chair, we do now have a quorum, so please start the meeting at your convenience. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 385th meeting of the BRTB. This meeting is being recorded. If anyone online experiences any difficulties, please send a message in the chat box. I ask that the BRTB members turn on their cameras during the roll call for attendance as well as for voting. I ask Ms. Rebecca Dabble to start the roll call to determine member participation.
Good morning, everyone. Annapolis, Anne Arundel County.
Present.
Thank you. Baltimore County.
Here.
Thank you. Baltimore City. Carroll County.
Yes, here.
Thank you. Harford County.
Here.
Howard County.
Here.
Queen Anne's.
Here.
Thank you. MDOT.
Here.
RTA of Central Maryland.
Here.
Thank you. MDOT MTA.
Present.
Thank you. Maryland Department of Environment.
Present.
I'm sorry.
Present.
Oh, thank you. Maryland Department of Planning.
Here.
Thank you. FHWA.
Here.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, our first item is the approval of the minutes from the March 24th BRTB and the April 24th meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? Hearing none, can I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes? Howard, motions?
RTA seconds.
Thank you. It was Howard County for the motion, RTA for the second. Are there any edits from the members? Hearing none, we will now vote on the approval of the minutes. When your name is read, please indicate aye or nay.
Annapolis. Anne Arundel County.
Yay.
Baltimore City. Baltimore County.
Present.
Carroll County.
Yes, I'm going to abstain from March 24th because I was not in attendance and I have not seen the April 24th, so I'm going to abstain on the vote. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me know. Howard County.
Yay.
Queen Anne's County.
Yay.
MDOT.
Aye.
Thank you. RTA of Central Maryland.
Aye.
Thank you.
Hartford County votes in favor.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
Our next is our public participation opportunity, where we offer the public a chance to speak to the board. If anyone has comments or any of the action items, please wait for the item to be discussed. If there is anyone who wishes to address the board at this time, please indicate in the chat box. Todd?
Mr. Chair and Board, there was no one who requested to speak prior to the meeting, and currently there is no one requesting to speak in the chat box.
All right, thank you. We now ask for the report on public involvement activity. Todd?
Good morning, everyone. Have one major item out for public review. This is Region Now 2027, our transportation improvement program. Brought up on the screen, our publicinput.com engagement platform for this program. Again, comments are due on Monday, June the 15th. There has been a recorded video of our presentation to the Transportation Corps Also, you'll see links to our interactive story map program here. Again, people can share their thoughts and comments on this platform. Also, we're going to be having a public meeting down on Thursday, May 28th from 6:30 to 7:30, 5:30 to 7:30 down in Queen Anne's County Public Library on the Kent Island branch. So again, please watch the recording. Please share your comments. The major item we have out for public review again is Region Now 2027. And that wraps up our public engagement report, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. We now ask for a report on the May meeting of the Technical Committee from Ms. Angie Daniel. Angie.
Thanks, Trey. Good morning, everyone. The technical committee members weighed in on 9 action items at the May meeting. The first 5 action items were for proposed amendments to 8 projects in the 2026-2029 TIP, including 2 Maryland Transportation Authority projects, 3 State Highway Administration projects, and 1 MTA project and 1 Anne Arundel County project. Presentations were made for all projects, and the technical committee considered and approved all of them to come before the BRTB today. The 6 and 7 action items were related to endorsement of the regional goals and strategies and scoring criteria for Region Next 2055. Staff presented proposed updates, and the technical committee recommended sending both items to the BRTB for approval. The 8th action item related to endorsement of updated functional classifications for highways in the Baltimore region. MDOT SHA staff presented on the update process, and the technical committee recommended sending the updated functional classifications to BRTB for approval. Finally, the 9th action item related to endorsement of an updated coordinated public transit human services transportation plan for the Baltimore region. The technical committee recommended sending the updated plan to BRTB for approval. Next, the nominating committee comprised of Howard and Queen Anne's counties, along with MDOT, was announced to develop a slate of officers for FY 2027. The slate will be presented at the June meeting with elections in July. For UPWP updates, there were several updates shared. Staff shared information on the FY 2027 Transportation and Land Use Connections Program. The program provides technical assistance to local jurisdictions to support projects and reduce traffic, improve safety, address extreme weather impacts, and make it easier for people to walk, bike, roll, and use transit. The key changes to the application were summarized. Applications are due by Wednesday, June 17th, and staff are holding weekly office hours to answer any questions. Staff reminded members that project submittals for the Long Range Transportation Plan Region Next 2055 are due June 17th. Finally, the comment period for the 2027-2030 Transportation Improvement Program, known as Region Now 2027, is open from May 14th to June 15th. The comment period also includes an amendment adding the Bay Bridge Replacement Project to the Long Range Transportation Plan Resilience 2050. And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you, Angie. We now ask for a report from the Interagency Consultation Group from Ms. Anna Marshall.
Thanks. Good morning, everybody. So ICG met virtually on May 13th, and the modeling results of the regional emissions analysis were approved. The results show that the region is measuring below the approved emission budgets for both NOx and VOC emissions for the 4 horizon years up to 2050. And this is excellent news for our region to demonstrate attainment of the National Ozone Standard. Next, we walked through a total of 8 TIP amendments, and you'll hear about those today. All are exempt from the conformity requirements except for one, which was not exempt, and that one remained not exempt from previous years. And the next time ICG will meet is July 7th in person at the joint meeting with the technical committee. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lang, please present the action items.
Today, the BRTB is being asked to consider resolutions 26-26 through 26-30, all of which involve amendments to the 2026 to 2029 TIP. Due to the volume of TIP amendments, we will present all of these TIP amendments at once, followed by a single vote on the resolutions 26-26 through 26-30. These include Maryland Transportation Authority with 2 projects, State Highway Administration for 2 projects, MTA for the Eastern Bus Facility, MTA on behalf of Anne Arundel County, and then State Highway Administration on behalf of Anne Arundel County. I'll now turn it over to Ms. Nicole Condell, who's going to introduce the resolutions and the associated TIP amendments, and we'll follow that up with public comments and the vote by the BRTB. Nicole, please proceed. Thanks.
Good morning. Thanks, Todd. All right. So the first resolution we have up, 26-26 with Maryland Transportation Authority. This one involves a couple of projects, including the I-695 Francis Scott Key Bridge rebuild. This is the replacement of the FSK Bridge and its approaches. MDTA will use toll revenue to fund the Key Bridge reconstruction. And Congress has approved full federal funding reimbursement of the FSK replacement project's eligible costs. The change reason is to add $1.9 billion in toll revenue funds to the project, which reflects the updated cost and schedule that were announced for the project late 2025. This includes construction funds increasing by $1.81 billion, engineering funds increasing by $96.325 million, planning funds increasing as well by $1.3 million, and the total estimated cost increases from $1.7 billion to $5.2 billion. And the year of operation shifts from 2028 to 2030. And as mentioned, ICG reviewed this project and confirmed that it remains exempt from conformity analysis. The second project is the Curtis Creek Drawbridge Deck Rehabilitation and Resiliency Project. This project involves part of MDTA's ongoing efforts to ensure safety and continued operation of 2 drawbridges that carry the inner and outer loops of I-695 over Curtis Creek. The project includes establishment of maintenance of traffic operations, replacement of portions of the concrete decks and parapets, repair and strengthening of the steel girders, and removal and replacement of lower level lights and traffic signals. This amendment updates executed and programmed infra federal grant funding that will be expended in fiscal years 26 and 27. And so part of the infra funding shifts from fiscal year 26, and the total increases by $3.25 million for a total of $7.5 million split between the 2 fiscal years. State funding in fiscal year 26 through 28 shifts to toll revenues and decreases by $1.099 million. The estimated total cost decreases from $19.5 million to $17.4 million. And also, this project was confirmed by ICG to remain exempt from conformity status or conformity analysis. And for any additional questions, Carl Chamberlain is available to discuss these 2 projects. The next resolution, 26-27, involves a couple of SHA projects. And this first project, I-795 Dolefield Boulevard Interchange, has actually been rescinded. This was presented to the Tech Committee earlier this month and ICG, but SHA does not anticipate moving forward with the right-of-way acquisition at this time, and this will be reevaluated in the fall. So the resolution has been updated to include only the next two projects. The Road to Freedom Trail project includes cycling and pedestrian trails to reconnect and repair land and viewscape between Goucher College and Hampton National Historic Site in Baltimore County. This connects 13 sites of historical significance from Hampton National Historic Site to historic East Towson, increasing access for residents and visitors. And the change reason for this amendment is to add a new project and design funding using Highway Infrastructure Program community project funding and congressionally directed spending, including an 80-20 federal funding with 20% local match. And the engineering is set at $625,000 in funding with the 80-20 match. And the conformity status of this project as well is exempt as confirmed by ICG. Next up is Dobbin Road Shared Use Path. This is a 1.4-mile shared use path along the east side of Dobbin Road from Maryland 175 to Oakland Mills Road. This includes sidewalk along west side of Dobbin Road and along and adjacent to McGaw and Oakland Mills Roads. It also includes 7 pedestrian crosswalks at 4 signalized intersections along Dobbin Road, 3 of those signalized intersections, and Oakland Mills Road, which includes the one of those signalized intersections. And the reason for this amendment is to add a new project and construction funding. The transportation alternative funds, including 80% federal and 20% local match for construction at a total of $7.5 million, as well as Highway Infrastructure Program congressionally directed spending, including as well 80-20 match for a total of $1.25 million for construction. And also, this project has a exempt conformity status confirmed by ICG. And for more information on this project, Ben Allen is available if there's any detailed questions for these projects. Next up is Resolution 26-28 with MTA. This is for the Eastern Bus Facility project. The existing Eastern Bus Division is reaching the end of its useful life and does not have sufficient capacity to meet MDOT MTA's operational needs. And so the purpose of this project is to redevelop Eastern Bus Division as an electric bus division. The new facility will be purpose-built for battery electric buses and will include space for administration, training, bus maintenance, bus operations, bus charging, and storage. And the change reason for this project, this amendment, is to request to add $4.8 million in additional 5339 funding for preliminary engineering. It also moves $1.5 million in 5339 funding from construction to design, adds $150,000 in state match for the 5307 funding, and also adds $1.056 million in state match to the 5339 funds. The conformity status has been confirmed that it will remain exempt as per the ICG meeting earlier this month. And we also have Albert Guinea Angle available if there are further detailed questions on this project. And the last two resolutions, 26-29 and 26-30, are for Anne Arundel County projects. The first project for 26-29 resolution is the Anne Arundel County Ferry Project. This project would establish a new passenger ferry service connecting the city of Annapolis, the city of Baltimore, and Queen Anne's County. This amendment reinserts the Anne Arundel County Ferry Project into the 26-29 TIP. This project previously appeared in the fiscal year 25-28 TIP. This amendment also adds 4.869 million with 3.895 million federal 5307H funds and 0.974 million matching for the construction and other phases in fiscal year 26. This amendment shifts funds from fiscal year 25 to fiscal year 26 to show the proper year of obligation. These funds will be used to procure 2 hybrid electric ferry vehicles, make landing improvements, and develop electric infrastructure. And this project is also exempt from conformity analysis as confirmed by ICG. And for Resolution 26-30, we have the EV charging stations and other green technology project, which is through a partnership between Anne Arundel County and the Resilience Authority of Annapolis. This project involves the study, design, and construction of necessary infrastructure to support the county's electric hybrid vehicle fleet, including charging stations, garage and fuel station renovations, purchase and installation of specialized maintenance, repair, safety equipment for vehicles, and chargers, charging stations, and training. And so the change reason for this amendment is to add 666,000, of which 533,000 is federal NEVI earmark and 133,000 local matching in engineering funds for fiscal year 27. Funding for this amendment is part of an earmark using Highway Infrastructure Program NEVI funds and will be used for the design of infrastructure needed for electric hybrid vehicles. The total estimated cost increases from 7.584 million to 8.25 million. And also with this project, the conformity status recommended was to be exempt, and that was also confirmed by ICG. And for these two projects, Brian Ulrich is available, as well as Matthew Fleming for that second project on EV charging stations with the Resilience Authority. Thank you for the opportunity to present these resolutions. I will turn it back over to Todd.
Thank you, Nicole. With that, we now ask the BRTB to consider the resolutions 26-26 through 26-30. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Todd. All right. Does any BRT member have any questions or comments on the resolution? Oh, excuse me. Apologize. I now ask the members to go ahead and start with the move for the approval of the resolution and a second. Howard County moves for the motion.
Second, Anne Arundel County.
Thank you. That was Howard for the move and Anne Arundel for the second. Does any BRT member have any questions or comments on the resolution? Hearing none, we now ask if any member of the public has any questions or comments on the resolution. For those online, please indicate if you would like to comment in the chat box. Todd, has any member of the public asked to speak?
Chair and board, currently there is no one requesting to speak in the chat box.
We now proceed to the vote. Again, with cameras on, when Rebecca reads your name, please indicate aye or nay.
Annapolis, Anne Arundel County,
Yay.
Baltimore City,
Yay.
Baltimore. Oh, thank you. Baltimore County,
Yay.
Carroll County,
Aye.
Harford County,
Aye.
Howard County,
Aye.
Queen Anne's County,
Aye.
MDOT,
Aye.
and RTA of Central Maryland.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. The resolution have passed. Next action item, please.
Today, the BRTB is being asked to consider Resolution 26-31. This resolution is to endorse the goals and strategies for Region Next 2055, the 2027 Long Range Transportation Plan. Mr. Zach Kaufman from BMC will now present on the resolution. Zach? Zach, are you able to unmute your mic?
Yes,
Okay, great.
I'm here.
Here you go. Thanks.
All right. So as Todd said, this morning we'll be considering the updated goals and strategies for Region Next 2055. So there are a total of 9 goal areas. These largely carry over from the previous LRTP, each of which has a set of associated strategies that will help the BRTB to achieve those goals. Those goals are listed here. They include accessibility, mobility, system safety, improving existing infrastructure, environmental responsibility, improving system security, prosperity and economic opportunity, getting everyone involved in working together, and informed decision-making. So in terms of process for updating the goals and strategies, BMC staff worked on updated revisions, updates to the strategies themselves, focusing on simplifying and combining redundant strategies, integrating information from recent planning efforts, plain language updates, and really the bulk of the proposed updates came from integrating recommendations from 2 efforts to prepare for the LRTP, the Transportation Needs Assessment Project, which included a survey, as well as an assessment of existing conditions, and the Scenario Planning Project. In September, we presented those proposed revisions to the technical committee, asked members for their comments. We then shared an updated version with the tech committee. We accounted for various tech committee comments, including accounting for current transit users, not just mode shift towards new transit users, adding young people as a focus population, adding some language regarding adapting to AI, as well as accounting for TDM and TOD more explicitly in the strategies. So after a brief pause, as we worked on the financial forecast with MDOT, we then again summarized those updates. Technical committee gave us consensus to move forward with the call for projects, which began about a month ago in April, a little over, and now we're considering the resolution. So in summary, briefly, of the proposed updates to the strategies from Resilience 2050. For accessibility, we wanted to clearly differentiate it from mobility. Sometimes those definitions can get, a little bit mixed. So we wanted to also, in addition to separating from mobility, focus on access to all types of destinations, jobs, schools, housing, parks, services. We also wanted to account for not just mode shift towards transit, but current transit users, as well as the Bikeable Baltimore Region Plan. For mobility, again, we wanted to make sure that we were including all system users, travelers, maintenance, operations, as well as emergency response personnel. We also added a strategy related to goods movement and curb management. For safety, we wanted to make sure we included all roadway users, drivers, occupants, pedestrians, bicyclists, other non-motorists, as well as workers and safer work zones, event incident scenes. For improving and maintaining the existing infrastructure, the strategies are largely the same, but we did want to clearly differentiate the strategies related to roads, bridges, electronic roadway equipment, transit, and active transportation. For environmental responsibility, we combined a few redundant strategies as well as added strategies related to mitigation measures for extreme weather and transportation noise reduction. That came from the Transportation Needs Assessment Project. For system security, we sought to combine redundant strategies. We also broadened and expanded a strategy to include cybersecurity, as well as revised the funding strategy to note that system security and resilience funding can come from non-transportation sources. For promoting prosperity and economic opportunity, we sought to emphasize the coordination of land use and transportation planning with housing availability and economic access through things like transit-oriented development. And for the last two goal areas, getting everyone involved and informed decision-making, we largely made plain language updates. So that is the end of my summary of the goals and strategies resolution. The full text, of course, is in the resolution itself, as well as available on our website.
With that, Mr. Chair, we now ask the BRTB to consider Resolution 26-31.
Thank you, Todd. Ask any members to move for approval of the resolution 26-31 in a second.
Baltimore County will move it.
Second, Anne Arundel County.
Thank you. That was Baltimore County to move and Anne Arundel for the second. Does any BRTB member have any questions or comments on the resolution? Hearing none, we now ask if any member of the public has any questions or comments on the resolution. For those online, please indicate if you would like to comment in the chat box. Todd, has any member of the public asked to speak?
Currently, there is no member of the public requesting to speak in the chat box, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We will now proceed to the vote. Again, with the cameras on. When Rebecca reads your name, please indicate aye or nay.
Annapolis, Anne Arundel County,
Yay.
Baltimore City,
Yay.
Baltimore County,
Yay.
Carroll County,
Aye.
Harford County,
Yay.
Howard County,
Aye.
Queen Anne's County,
Aye.
MDOT,
Aye.
and RTA of Central Maryland.
Yay.
Thank you.
All right, the resolution has passed. Next action item, please.
Today, the BRTB is being asked to consider Resolution 26-32. Oops, sorry. Let me do one thing here. Just one moment. Okay, today the BRTB is being asked to consider Resolution 26-32. This is resolution to approve the scoring methodology for project submittals for Region Next 2055. Mr. Zach Kaufman is going to present the resolution. Zach?
Yes, hello again. So as Todd said, this resolution is in regards to the scoring criteria to be used for Region Next 2055. As an overview of where we are currently, the call for projects is now open with about just over 3 weeks left until project submittals are due on June 17th, 2026. Project sponsors can submit their priority roadway and transit projects, and new this year is a submittal form for active transportation projects as well. The scoring methodology developed for active transportation scoring allows for a direct comparison of scores for roadway, transit, and active transportation projects. So the total project score is comprised of policy and technical elements. Both of those are summarized in detail in the resolution. But the policy score is in the sponsor's hands, composed of sponsor priority, as well as whether the project has MDOT financial support, for a maximum of 40 points. The technical score is comprised of criteria that align with the Region Next goals that were just presented, for a maximum of 50 technical scoring points for roadway and 55 for transit and active transportation. Transit and active transportation are eligible for that 5-point bump based on prior public comments, encouraging the BRTB to focus on these kinds of projects, and that carries over from the last LRTP. So in terms of process, similar process to the goals and strategies, we did develop that new scoring methodology for active transportation projects, working with a consultant team and a steering committee last year into this year, and that was presented to the tech committee in December and January. In December and January, BMC staff also worked on proposed revisions to the existing technical scoring criteria for roadway and transit projects. Recommended updates accounted for transportation needs assessment recommendations, prior public comment, and MDOT's proposed project prioritization framework. In January through March, there were various presentations summarizing those proposed revisions to the technical committee. Again, we move forward with call for projects in April and are now considering this resolution. So the policy score, this is summarized in the resolution, but roadway and transit, you can submit a certain number of high, medium, and low priority projects. Same for active transportation. They receive 30, 20, and 10 points respectively. If there is existing MDOT funding support, for example, in a prior CTP or the current CTP, you get an additional 10 points for a maximum of 40 points. This summarizes the technical score from the prior LRTP, Resilience 2050, as well as the current LRTP, Region Next 2055, or the LRTP in development, rather, by goal area. We score projects based on safety, accessibility, mobility, environment, security, and economic prosperity. The point totals for transit and roadway remained largely the same, but based on what we learned in our various surveys associated with the transportation needs assessment and scenario planning, we reduced the points allocated to mobility and gave 5 additional points to accessibility for transit and to safety for roadway based on the relative importance of those goal areas for those 2 modes. And then we also developed the active transportation scoring methodology with the point totals listed there. To briefly summarize the updates from the prior LRTP to the technical score, for highway safety, as I said, we propose increasing the points from 10 to 15 based on its importance. We are retaining the strategic highway safety plan criterion and adding a new criterion related to crash modification factors. For transit safety, we proposed no changes. For accessibility, we're proposing to adjust the complete streets criterion. That would be for bicycle and pedestrian and transit whatnot elements associated with roadway and transit projects to account for low stress features. We're proposing to retain the access to jobs criterion and to add an access to non-employment destinations criterion for transit. For highway mobility, we're proposing to reduce points from 10 to 5. That allows that bump in highway safety. We are also reducing the emphasis on vehicle hours of delay. That allows for an additional criterion related to the degree to which the project increases roadway efficiency through TISMO and promotion of non-SOV ridership. For transit mobility, again, reducing the points from 10 to 5 to allow the 5-point bump for accessibility, retaining the existing ridership and connectivity metrics, and removing the transit options criterion due to overlap with access to jobs. For environmental, retaining the existing criterion related to natural and historic resources, as well as adjusting point totals for emissions reduction to more accurately match the potential project emissions. For system security, adding a new criterion related to hazard mitigation. That would be things like flooding, sea level rise, extreme weather, as well as cybersecurity. And to allow for that additional criterion, we're proposing to retain the evacuation mobility but reduce the points associated with it. And finally, economic prosperity, no changes to the existing criterion related to overlap with federal opportunity zones, as well as Maryland PFAs and sustainable communities. As I mentioned, we developed an active transportation scoring methodology. There's a project submittal form that was shared during the call for projects for those projects. And the metrics that we're using are listed here for safety, overlap with MDOT areas of vulnerable need, or need for vulnerable road users, rather, frequency of nearby crashes, as well as inclusion of safe and comfortable infrastructure. For accessibility, we're looking at overlap with short trip opportunity areas, inclusion in a regional plan like the Bikeable Baltimore region, and addressing a challenging physical barrier such as a body of water or a railroad, for example. Mobility, looking at proximity to areas serving the most people and jobs, as well as connections to transit. For environment, looking at overlap with health indicators data, as well as access to regional parks identified in the Bikeable Baltimore region project. And finally, economic prosperity, proposing the same criterion as roadway and transit. So that is a kind of a brief summary of the policy and technical scores listed in full in the resolution as well as online.
With that, Mr. Chair, we now ask the BRTB to consider Resolution 26-32, approving the scoring methodology for project submittals for Region Next 2055.
Thank you. I now ask a member to move for the approval of the resolution 26-32 and a second. Howard County moves.
Hartford seconds.
Thank you. That was Howard County that moved and Hartford seconded. Does any BRTB member have any questions or comments on the resolution? Hearing none, we now ask if any member of the public has any questions or comments on the resolution. For those online, please indicate if you would like to comment in the chat box. Todd, has any member of the public asked to speak?
Chair, I'm checking, and currently there is no member of the public requesting to speak in the chat box.
Thank you. We'll now proceed to the vote. Again, with cameras on, when Rebecca reads your name, please indicate aye or nay.
Annapolis, Anne Arundel County,
Yay.
Baltimore City,
Yay.
Baltimore County,
Yay.
Carroll County,
Aye.
Hartford County,
Hmm.
Howard County,
Aye.
Queen Anne's County,
Aye.
MDOT,
Aye.
and RTA of Central Maryland.
Aye.
Thanks again.
Thank you. The resolution has passed. Next action item, please.
Today, the BRTB is being asked to consider Resolution 26-33. The resolution is to endorse the updated functional classification system for highways. Mr. Nate Evans from State Highway Administration is going to present. Nate?
Good morning, Todd. Thank you. My name is Nathan Evans, Assistant Division Chief at State Highways Regional Intermodal Planning Division. I'm going to give a brief presentation about our functional classification decennial update. So the purpose of our decennial update is every 10 years after the census conducts its update, the Federal Highway Administration and Census Bureau get together to determine the updated urban boundaries for the entire United States. With that, each the Maryland Department of Transportation and State Highway Administration then go about the state to work with local jurisdictions to update their roadway classification based on those changes with the urban and rural boundaries. So throughout this process, each jurisdiction updates their functional classification network, and then those within a metropolitan planning organization then has to get those approved before going on to FHWA for final approval. give a brief rundown of our change request process. Once we had the urban boundaries defined, we were able to do some preliminary analysis to identify those roadways that gained and lost federal funding eligibility based on their classification. We also then took a look at our roadway network based on what it looked like on paper with our digital assets to identify roadways that could be changed due to the changes in the roadway characteristics that could be eligible for a functional classification change. Last spring of 25, we worked with our state highway districts to identify those roadways and then also tested out our dashboard for collecting a lot of the functional classification changes. Last summer, we had a kickoff with our local jurisdictions and MPOs to talk through the process. Then afterwards, through the rest of the summer and the fall and into this spring, we worked with local jurisdictions to identify those roadways, come to a concurrence on what needed to be changed, and then produced packages, concurrent packages with the updated charts identifying the roadways that were changed with the new classification, and then also the updated breakdown for each jurisdiction's system. So once the county signed off, and now we are working our way through the MPO approvals. So some of the changes, the factors that we look at with doing a functional classification change, the primary one with the decennial update is the urban area change and how that affects the different roadway classifications. And then we also look at quantitative data based on each of those roadways, specifically like what their lane width is, what their average daily traffic amounts are, what the number of through lanes are, and some of those other parameters that look at specific roadways. And there's also qualitative data that's considered with each roadway. A lot of context zones are considered, like what the specific kind of context and land use surrounding that roadway might be. And then also if there's proximity to major traffic generators as well, that can come into play with changing a roadway's classification. As Maryland is an urban state, we need to adhere to some of the parameters set forth by FHWA with how our system is defined. So you can see that this is the percentage that Maryland needs to adhere to within the urban area and the rural zones across the state, what that breakdown of each jurisdiction's roadway needs to be. As you can see, about 2/3 of a roadway of a jurisdiction's roadway network is going to be made up of local roadways. And then as you move up the classification chart, you'll see that the percentages then reduce. So obviously we're going to have a lot fewer interstate roadway miles in a jurisdiction than we will the local roadway network. Some of the benefits and implications, obviously federal aid highway program funding is an important aspect of a roadway's classification. But then also you can take into considerations what the design parameters are going to be once that roadway is redesigned, if it has a new functional class. We also use the network to report out twice a year the highway performance monitoring system to FHWA. And then on the chart on the right, you can see how we have minor collectors kind of called out, because minor collector roadways are the one roadway that can gain or lose federal funding eligibility depending on where it is. Minor collectors are eligible for federal funding within the urban areas, but they are not eligible for federal funding within the urban areas, within the rural areas. Give you a screenshot of some of the map editor that we had used to collect a lot of our inputs. One roadway in particular we noticed had a drop in traffic volumes. In Harford County, we're looking at Maryland 774 Edgewood Road. It was classified as a minor arterial, but the traffic volumes decreased significantly over the past 10 years because one of the gates to the Edgewood Arsenal was closed, thereby reducing the connectivity to the roadway. There was still a MARC station at the end of that road that kept volumes little from dropping to zero. So with that, looking at these changes in the roadway, we decided that the road would be eligible to become a major collector instead of a minor arterial. So it was downclassed through this section of Edgewood. So reviewing our schedule over the past year and a half that we've undertaken this effort, from the urban area being adjusted to conducting the local outreach. And we are here in the spring of 26, securing our MPO approvals. And once we have all 6 of those, we will submit to FHWA later this summer. And with that, I'll be happy to take any questions that you might have.
With that, Mr. Chair, we ask the BRTB to consider Resolution 26-33, endorsing the updated functional classification system for highways.
I now ask a member to move for approval of the Resolution 26-33 and a second. Howard moves for approval.
Hartford seconds.
All right, that was Howard for the move and Hartford for the second. Does any BRTB member have any questions or comments on the resolution?
This is Hartford County. Just wanted to point out, Nate, that's 755, not 754.
We do have that in the
minor correction, right?
Thank you. Yes, it's
Yeah,
corrected in the paperwork.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We now ask if any member of the public has any questions or comments on the resolution. For those online, please indicate if you would like to comment in the chat box. Todd, does any member of the public ask to speak?
Chair and board, currently there is no one requesting to speak in the chat box.
All right. We'll now proceed to the vote. Again, with cameras on, when Rebecca reads your name, please indicate aye or nay.
Annapolis, Anne Arundel County,
Yay.
Baltimore City,
Yay.
Baltimore County,
Yay.
Carroll County,
Aye.
Harford County,
Aye.
Howard County,
Aye.
Queen Anne's County,
Aye.
MDOT,
Aye.
and RTA of Central Maryland.
Aye.
Thanks again.
Thank you. The resolution has passed. Next action item, please.
Today, Mr. Chair and board, we are asking the BRTB to consider Resolution 26-34. Oops, sorry, I have the wrong item up. Hold on one second, please. There we go. Okay. Today, the BRTB is being asked to consider Resolution 26-34. The resolution is to endorse an updated coordinated public transit human service transportation plan for the Baltimore region. We're asking Mr. Tim Briggs from BMC to present on this resolution. Tim, please take it on.
Hi, good morning. My name is Tim Briggs. I'm the transit planner at BMC, and I'm here to talk about the coordinated public transit human services plan for the Baltimore region prepared by MDOT MTA. So just to kind of set the table for the discussion. So for coordinated transportation planning, this is done every 5 years. The previous plan was updated in 2019, and this effort is building off of that prior plan. The purpose or the reason for the plan is to meet federal requirements for the Enhanced Mobility of Seniors and Individuals with Disabilities program, known as 5310, which I'll describe in more detail in the next slide. And really, this is an opportunity for stakeholders to work together on mobility issues that affect this group of folks and develop potential recommendations and suggestions to improve services. So 5310 is a federal program to improve mobility for seniors and individuals with disabilities. The goal is to remove barriers to access transportation services and then enhance or expand the mobility options. MTA is the designated recipient of these federal funds, and they're the ones that are responsible for the plan. Applicants then are selected based on through a grant process. Then their applications are evaluated based on their consistency with the plan. Previously, in the last cycle, which was FY25, BRTB approved a resolution to endorse the applicants, and their projects all addressed the strategies that are identified in this plan. Here are all of the 5310 subrecipients in the Baltimore region from the previous cycle. I'll note that this includes all of the jurisdictions, representatives from all the jurisdictions within the Baltimore region here at the BRTB today, except for Queen Anne's County, which is part of the Eastern Shore for this process. So the elements of the coordinated transportation plan are fairly straightforward. It begins with an assessment of the services that are available, as well as the transportation needs for for seniors and individuals with disabilities. Then there's an exploration of different strategies or projects that can address the gaps and fill the needs. And lastly, thinking about priorities for implementation based on the available resources. MTA, in coordination with BMC, conducted an extensive outreach process for the plan. There were regional in-person workshops that were held at BMC at two different points in the plan, one to discuss the needs, the other to discuss the strategies. They also held online focus groups for each session to make sure that folks could attend in whatever method was easiest for them. And we resulted in engaging stakeholders across various state and local entities, as you can see. So at the heart of the planning process is the strategies. The most significant, in addition to the sort of updating things based on time, the major change from the previous plan to this plan is really expanding the number of strategies. I think the previous plan had between 8 and 10 strategies, and as you'll see, there are many more in this plan. And so the strategies were categorized in a couple of different ways. There are coordination strategies, outreach strategies, operating strategies, funding strategies, and sustainability strategies. So for coordination and outreach, overall, the emphasis is to expand the outreach because we do have a lot of programs, but folks are not always aware of the services that are available, and trying to really target the marketing or the communication to provide information to relevant users. For operating strategies, there's an emphasis on supporting expansion of existing programs, such as the lot services, as identified in the transportation development programs, as well as adding more specialized on-demand services. So like one example would be like there's a type of Uber, I think it's called Wave, which is an wheelchair accessible vehicle. It's just something that other areas have, but is not currently in Baltimore. And for funding and sustainability strategies, really advocating for a fully funded public transportation system, as well as those supplemental services and programs like the 5310 to meet the specialized needs of seniors and riders with disabilities. So the role of the BRTB is to review the local applications before they're submitted to M.MTA. This is a required step in the local process, and endorsing only those applications that are derived from or included in the regional transportation plan. So again, the strategies really drive the types of projects that are, the strategy identified in the plan really drive the types of projects that are then approved for funding under the federal program. So in terms of adoption, the region it officially adopted coordinated transportation plan as required by FTA and M.MTA. And so I would ask that the board adopt the Consolidated Human Services Transportation Plan for the most recent cycle. If you have any questions, you can contact myself. We also partnered with M.MTA, and KFH Group was the lead consultant on the project.
Thank you. And with that, we now ask the BRTB to consider Resolution 26-34, endorsing the updated Coordinated Public Transit Human Service Transportation Plan. Mr. Chair?
All right, I now ask a member to move for the approval of the Resolution 26-34 and a second. Howard moves for approval.
Hartford seconds.
All right, it's Howard for the move and Hartford for the second. Does any BRT member have any questions or comments on the resolution? Hearing none, we now ask if any member of the public has any questions or comments on the resolution. For those online, please indicate if you would like to comment in the chat box. Todd, has any member of the public asked to speak?
Mr. Chair and Board, currently there is no member of the public requesting to speak in the chat box.
Okay, we now proceed to the vote. Again, with cameras on, when Rebecca reads your name, please indicate aye or nay.
Anne Arundel County.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Annapolis first. My apologies. Baltimore City.
Aye.
Baltimore County.
Aye.
Carroll County.
Aye.
Harford County.
Aye.
Howard County.
Aye.
Queen Anne's County.
Aye.
MDOT.
Aye.
And RTA of Central Maryland.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, the resolution has passed. Now on to the informational items. Our first item is a report from the nominating committee.
Mr. Russell, could you please report from the nominating committee?
Yes, thanks, Todd. Thanks, Mr. Chair. The nominating committee surveyed the BRTB members for interest for now as far as putting out the proposed slate of BRTB members officers for fiscal year 2027, including Howard County as the chair and Queen Anne's County as the vice chair.
All right, thank you. Voting will occur at the June BRTB meeting. Thank you. Now, moving on, Maryland SHA staff will present on their Complete Streets Quick Build program.
Moment, sir, while I pull up their presentation. Today we are having Maryland SHA staff again present on their Complete Streets Quick Build program. We'll turn it over to Quinn and Shane.
Thank you, Todd. Good morning, Mr. Chair and board members. And thank you for the invitation to speak on MDOT's Complete Streets Quick Builds program. My colleague Shane and I are excited to be here today to talk about the successes from individual projects and what we've learned as a whole with this program. Next slide, please. So my name is Quinn Wallace. I am an active transportation planner at the MDOT Secretary's Office, and I support the implementation of MDOT's Complete Streets policy. I'm joined today by Mr. Shane Sarver, who's a bicycle and pedestrian planner at SHA, who manages the Quick Builds program and works closely with each project team. Next slide, please. Today, we'll start with some background on Complete Streets and MDOT's approach to improve safety for all roadway users through the Complete Streets policy. Then we'll get into a brief evaluation of the 2025 Quick Builds and highlight a few key projects. And we'll wrap up with a preview of our 2026 Quick Builds and how we're expanding resources for our local partners to support the implementation of Quick Builds across Maryland. So starting with some background, we want to emphasize that complete streets are streets for everyone, no matter who they are or how they travel. Complete streets look different depending on local priorities, plans, and land use contexts. They create safe and connected transportation networks for all roadway users. And complete streets offer many benefits to Marylanders. First and foremost, they increase safety, especially for vulnerable roadway users. And by supporting walking, biking, and transit, they benefit the environment, support access to jobs and economic opportunities, and bolster economic development. Complete streets also make communities more welcoming and inclusive for people who can't drive or who have limited access to a private car, such as children, older adults, and people with disabilities. Active transportation supports healthy lifestyles for all, improving public health in Maryland too. Ultimately, Complete Streets responds to what we hear from many Marylanders every day, which is that they want choice and especially freedom of choice in how they can safely and affordably get from A to B. We see that Complete Streets have tremendous potential in reaching several of our statewide goals, including mode shift, climate, and public health. Across the country, we see that 28% of trips taken are less than 1 mile long. And of those trips, 60% of them are driven, which presents a real opportunity to replace a short car trip with a nice walk, ride, or roll. This has been a key part of our messaging, especially this month because it's Bike Month, and MDOT has supported Bike and Roll to School Day and Bike and Work Week celebrations across the state with our Complete Streets goals at the forefront. In 2024, it's also worth noting that MDOT developed short trip opportunity areas in our 2050 Bicycle and Pedestrian Master Plan to guide active transportation infrastructure development and to promote mode shift. And we're actually in the process of updating our STOAs, our short trip opportunity areas now, because this has proved to be such a valuable resource to our local partners. MDOT is leveraging an evolving framework to put our Complete Streets policy into practice across Maryland. In 2023, we launched the Complete Streets Work Group to align our goals and priorities. In 2024, we adopted our Complete Streets policy and set statewide standards for safety and for equity. And last year, we released our implementation plan and actually began constructing projects, starting with the Pedestrian Safety Action Plan project on Maryland 650 in Prince George's County and Montgomery County. We're continuing to update our policies and programs to lead with Complete Streets, and we're continuing to evaluate our progress on how implementation has gone so far. Notably, our Complete Streets policy applies to all capital improvement projects in MDOT right-of-way. It also prioritizes all users and aligns with both MDOT and national best practices for context-sensitive implementation of Complete Streets. We've been updating technical guidance documents to align with the Complete Streets policy, which we know many of our local partners also rely on. The policy emphasizes engagement with underserved communities and elevates coordination with local mobility plans, policies, and priorities. And lastly, the policy upholds the safe system approach, which acknowledges that humans make mistakes and those mistakes should never lead to death. MDOT has taken a multi-pronged approach to move the needle on transportation safety and access. So you can see here the main prongs on this slide. And of course, we're focusing today on just one of those prongs, the Complete Streets Quick Build program, which allows MDOT to test products and solutions that address urgent safety needs and that inform permanent installations. The Quick Build program was born out of the Maryland Complete Streets Leadership Academy In 2024, MDOT and SHA partnered with Smart Growth America and with 3 local jurisdictions to deploy temporary demonstration projects. These projects sought to improve both traffic safety and connectivity, especially for people walking and biking. And what we found was that the quick builds were overall very successful. The process was effective, it was inclusive, and that process is summarized at the bottom of the slide with these blue buttons here. And we found that vehicle speeds were generally lowered across the quick builds. So I want to shout out to the town of Bel Air for making the quick build changes permanent. Next slide, please. And now I'm going to pass it off to Shane to dive into the projects themselves.
Thanks, Quinn. You can go to the next slide. So the Complete Streets Quick Build program that we launched in 2025 is really building on the success of the 2024 Complete Streets Leadership Academy that Quinn just described. And we are still building out this program, but really what it allows us to do is target urgent safety needs, respond quickly to community concerns, which we're not always the best at doing, test products and solutions, and gain useful data from those tests. You can go to the next slide. So we've got 2025, we had 6 locations really spread out around the state. There's 6 locations in 5 counties. We selected these locations in different ways. So some of them are in response to community concerns about speeding. That's, for example, Maryland 14 in Dorchester County, Maryland 195 and Maryland 198 in Montgomery counties, Maryland 273 and Maryland 261 are in areas that have a lot of pedestrian activity around events. So Maryland 273 is where the Cecil County Fair is, as well as some other large events, and Maryland 261 is near a resort pool beach area in southern Anne Arundel County. Those are areas that had a lot of pedestrian activity. And Maryland 34, which I'll talk in a little bit more detail about, had site visibility issues, speeding issues, new infrastructure coming in that was generating more pedestrian activity, a few different things. And for these projects, we're looking at combinations of temporary treatments and permanent treatments. You go to the next slide. So this is just a map showing you, we spread from the Eastern Shore to Western Maryland. And I want to talk in more detail about 2 projects. Maryland 195 in Tacoma Park is the first. This is a speed cushion pilot testing modular speed cushions, both their effectiveness at reducing speed as well as how resilient they are. It's obviously much quicker to install these than asphalt. So we wanted to see if that was a longer term solution to speeding. We did find that reduced speed significantly. This says 3 to 6. We had additional LiDAR technology that showed actually even a higher reduction. I'll talk in more detail about that in a minute, but this location was selected in response to the City of Tacoma Park's request to install something to manage speed in this area. We had been looking at several locations in Tacoma Park. Based on their request, we looked at this location, found that speeding was a significant issue here, and so installed the speed cushions here. Also at this location, we partnered with Morgan State University's National Transportation Center. They tested out a LiDAR technology as well as edge computing and communications, looking at pedestrians, looking at speeds, near misses, crossing patterns, things like that, and found a fairly significant reduction in speed at this speed cushion location, 6 to 10 miles per hour, and also significantly increased pedestrian activity. A significant increase in crossings there. And from this, we were able to pull some lessons learned. the first is that it was very effective at reducing speeds. Unfortunately, the resilience aspect of it didn't quite work out the way we'd hoped. It was damaged during the blizzard this winter, and we were able to repair it, but it's not a long-term solution. The other thing that we found from this location is you can see in the picture there's a wide shoulder to the left on the left side of the picture, and it was used to go around. A lot of people were going around it rather than going over the speed cushions. So some kind of curb bump outs, flex post, something like that is needed in addition to the speed cushions. And this is the other location I want to talk about, Maryland 34 in Sharpsburg. This is in Washington County near Antietam Battlefield. It's just to the right of this map. So several issues here. Speeding, really low visibility coming around the intersection from Maryland 65 onto Maryland 34, and also a new park in that bottom grassy area is now a park. So there's increased pedestrian activity around there. So this quick build project had a combination of temporary in the speed cushions and permanent in the lane shift, parking restrictions, and new crosswalks. So this is a good example of how with the quick build projects we can do both. We ended up collaborating pretty intensely with the town council. They were reviewing all of the concepts ahead of time. We ended up changing the concepts, adding a second set of speed cushions, which required additional collaboration, but overall it was a very successful project. The speed cushions have now been removed. They were removed before the winter weather, but the lane shift, parking restrictions, and crosswalks are permanent. Next slide. So looking ahead to 2026, we have 4 projects we're looking at this year. I will go into more detail on Maryland 150, but we're also looking at Maryland 170 in Anne Arundel County, Maryland 192 in Kensington, and Maryland 212 in Prince George's County. Maryland 150, this project was actually installed last week. This came out of the Maryland 150 Pedestrian Safety Action Plan project. The PSAP project is calling for an additional no right turn on red restriction at the intersection with Old Eastern Avenue, as well as a curb bump out. When this was presented to the community in late 2024, as part of the PSAP project, there was a lot of concerns about the impacts of that on traffic. And so we recently installed this quick build. We're going to be monitoring its impacts on traffic and safety over the next few months, and then determining whether those impacts are significant and whether it should stay in the long-term PSAP project. And I will turn it back to Quinn.
Thanks, Shane. So since the Quick Builds program has generated substantial interest among our local partners, we wanted to share a few initial resources regarding Quick Builds. First, MDOT is developing an external complete streets training that we expect to roll out in the coming months. The goal would be to provide our local partners with the tools and resources that they need to support multimodal projects and to understand the resources, policies, and practices that are in place to achieve complete streets. Excuse me. Second, the Complete Streets Leadership Academy laid out a very clear process to go about developing quick builds, which proved to be very successful here for us at MDOT. So we encourage our local partners to consult this process and to consider integrating it into existing multimodal planning practices. And lastly, we know that funding is often a challenge in setting up these kinds of projects. So I'm very happy to report that MDOT's Kim Lanthier's Bikeways Network Grant Program can fund quick build improvements, including complete streets intersection treatments where bike facilities are present and safety enhancements on existing bike routes. Bikeways is a discretionary state-funded program, and applications are currently open, and they close at the end of this month on May 31st, in just a few days here. Bikeways projects directly support the implementation of MDOT's Complete Streets policy. And I wanted to showcase a few projects that are leveraging quick builds, especially across the program. So up in Havre de Grace, the city is implementing complete streets improvements at multiple intersections along a key corridor to improve safety for people walking and biking. In Anne Arundel County, they recently finished installing flex posts and precast curbs to an existing on-street shared use path to improve safety and low-stress connections to the BWI trail. And in Cheverly in Prince George's County, the town is planning to install quick build improvements to enhance active transportation connections to the Anacostia River Trail through planned development and connecting to the town of Cheverly. So with that, we want to thank the board for having us today, and please do feel free to reach out to myself or Shane anytime with questions, and we're happy to take a few questions now if there's time.
Thank you for that. Is there any questions from the board? All right. Thank you. Now, to other business. Is there any other business to come before the BRTB? Hearing none, I call for a vote to close the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you
Aye.
all. The next meeting of the BRTB will be virtual on Tuesday, June 23rd. Thank you all.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Yep. Thank you very much.